Hi everybody, thanks for joining us for a story today. I am Miss Jennifer. I am the children's librarian at the Leach Library, and today we're going to be reading The First Star. This was written by Janice Spina of Londonderry, so we would like to thank her for allowing us to read this to you today, and also a very special thank you to the illustrator John Spina. So this book was dedicated to the author's children. Their names are Kimberly and Christopher, and the reason it's dedicated to them is because this was a special bedtime story that she made up for her children when they were just little, and when they got to be grown up, she decided to make it into a book and share it with other people too. So while we're reading the story, since this is a bedtime story, maybe you can think a little bit about if there's maybe a special story that somebody made up for you that you like to hear before bedtime, or maybe there's a special book you like somebody to read for you at night before you fall asleep, or maybe even there's a special song that you like to sing. Maybe you like to sing it with someone, maybe you sing it, maybe you like to have it sung to you. Whatever it is that you like to do before bedtime, think about that and see if it's similar to this. So the story starts off with a limerick, which is a special rhyming poem, so we'll read that before we get started. There once were two children named Kim and Chris. Their father being absent, they did miss. They wished upon the first star that he would come back from afar. Now the family is rich and happy, they certainly are. So that gives you a little bit of a hint about the story. So we'll get started. Off the beaten path into the deep woods, a boy named Christopher and his sister Kimberly lived with their mother and father in a little old dilapidated cottage. There was a picket fence surrounding the house that was in much need of repair. The white paint on the house was peeling and the front porch was sagging. They were poor and had barely enough food to feed themselves and their pet terrier, a dog named Lucy. Though they didn't have many toys to play with, they were happy children and got along fairly well with each other. They did have disagreements at times over their toys and whether their parents loved one more than the other. And maybe if you have brothers or sisters, you can understand. They usually do have disagreements once in a while. Their father was a carpenter. He made them wooden soldiers, dolls, and other special toys. For Kim, it was a beautiful fairy doll with blue eyes he had painted like hers. For Christopher, it was a knight with a sword. Their father was a kind and generous man. He loved his children dearly and wanted to give them so much more. The day came when their father had to go to a city many miles away to find buyers for his woodworking. He kissed them goodbye and told them he'd be back as soon as he could. The children were lonely without their father, who had always played with them and told them stories at bedtime. To make up for this, their mother tried her best to fill in for their father and played even more than usual with her children, telling them stories and singing them songs. It was hard work for their mother to do all the housework and chores and care for them all by herself. There never seemed to be enough time in a day to do it all. She cooked, cleaned the house, sewed clothes for her and her children, chopped wood, and stacked it for the fireplace. Phew, that is a lot of work. Her days were long, and she was always tired. Many nights she cried herself to sleep. She was frustrated at not being able to do all she needed to do to keep her family safe and well. Chris and Kim, after a short time, seemed more like themselves again in front of their mother. They played with their toys and their dog, Lucy. Lucy was even feeling the effects of the children's mood change and was happy to be getting some attention again. Dogs usually love lots and lots of attention and lots of playing. At night in bed, they would still pray and wish upon the first star they saw that their father would come back again. Kim would fall asleep with her fairy doll held tightly in her arms. Chris kept his knight next to him to protect him, as his father had told him. Lucy would snuggle up in her bed next to Kim's bed. One night, as they were praying, a bright star came down from the sky and sailed into their room, lighting it up with a brilliant white light. The children were frightened and started to cry. Lucy began to bark excitedly. Out of the light stepped a beautiful fairy dressed in a silver and white dress with a crown of silver stars on her head and large purple wings on her back. The fairy talked to the children in a lovely, sweet voice. "Please do not be afraid. I will not harm you. I have heard your prayers and wishes, and I want to help you." When the children heard this, they stopped crying and listened to the beautiful fairy. "What do you want most in this world?" They exclaimed. "We want our father home again." Of course that's what they want. They explained to the fairy, "We are poor, and our father went to find a job in the city far away. We were worried because we heard our mother crying at night and thought something had happened to our father." The fairy responded, "If you are good children and help your mother all you can, I will find your father and make sure he is well." Several days went by, and finally one night, Chris and Kim had almost given up on ever seeing the beautiful fairy again. And she appeared as before in a brilliant white light. She told them, "Your father is well and working hard. He will be home soon." It was getting cold now with winter arriving. Since the children did not have enough warm clothing, they both got quite sick. Their mother didn't know what to do. There wasn't any money to pay for a doctor. She did all she could by taking in sewing, mending, and selling whatever she could to keep food on the table for them. The children had told their mother about the beautiful fairy. She thought it was just their imagination. But now, with Chris and Kim so sick, their mother knelt by their bedsides. She wished upon the first star she saw. The beautiful fairy appeared. The fairy saw the sick children, raised her wand over their heads, and told them to sit up. Immediately, the children sat up and were well again, healthy in color coming back to their cheeks. Mother and children were relieved and very happy. They asked the fairy, "What can we do to repay your kindness?" "Keep your faith, love one another. Good things will come your way." Meanwhile, their father was on his way back home when he noticed two men were having trouble carrying their packs of belongings. They looked very tired and bedraggled. He offered to help the men. As he bent over to pick up one of the men's packs, the other man hit him from behind, knocking him out. The men then stole all the money he had earned. When he came to, he realized he had been robbed. He didn't know where to turn. He said a silent prayer that somehow he would be able to find a way to support his family. He couldn't go back to them empty-handed. Suddenly, a brilliant white light appeared, momentarily blinding him. The fairy appeared within the light. She said, "Because of your kindness and generosity toward your fellow man, you will be rewarded with great riches. Go home and find your family living comfortably. He went home at once. His wife and children ran to greet him as he was coming up the walkway to their new Tudor-style home. He hugged his family and told them how much he had missed them. The children excitedly talked over one another, trying to explain about the fairy and their good fortune. Their father noticed that they held in their hands the toys he had made for them before he had gone away. Kimberly held tightly onto her lovely fairy doll with the blue eyes like hers, and Chris kept the knight with a sword protectively against his chest. Kim and Chris looked at their father with such love and joy that it brought tears to his eyes. He was so thankful for the good fortune, but he truly believed that his family would be happy with or without riches, and that love would always keep them that way. The end. So this story had a very happy ending because not only are they now comfortable and they don't have to worry about money, but they also realized how important it was to have everybody safe and together, and that was the most important thing. So you might have noticed in this story that the children's favorite toys were the toys that their father had made for them special. I wondered, do you have any favorite toys that maybe somebody made for you, that maybe somebody gave you for a special gift, maybe for your birthday or for Christmas or something like that, and that toy is extra special to you? That would make you a little bit like Chris and Kim in this story. I also asked you before we started this story if you could think about maybe any special bedtime stories or songs that you like to have before you fall asleep at night. So I was thinking about it myself, and I really couldn't think of one special bedtime story I really liked, but I did think of a special song that I liked. My mom liked to make up songs maybe that went to other tunes that we already knew. I know I still do that sometimes, and maybe you do that a little bit. This song went to the tune of Mickey Mouse that went M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E, Mickey Mouse. And what she did with it though was she changed the letters to make it about me. So since my name is Jennifer, she made J-E-N-N-I-F-F-F-F-E-R, Jennifer, which she had to add a couple extra F's to make it work, but I still loved it. It was my favorite song to sing at night with my mom before I went to bed, and it also, just as an extra bonus, helped me learn how to spell my name. Even though there were a couple extra F's in there, I learned how to take those out and spell my name the right way, but it was really fun for me and it was super special. So hopefully you have a special song or story that you like every night before bed. Thank you for joining us for this story. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.